How's it going, everybody? If you're new here, welcome in. If you've been here before, welcome back. I'm showing a brand new unreleased knife from Bestech, but that's not what's important. What's important is we're joined today by a friend of mine, Mr. Sharif Manganas. Sharif, what's up, man?
Yes, you got it.
We tried, look, we tried last week, and it was a failure on my part because I didn't do my homework, and I've learned my lesson, man. You know, I've absolutely learned that you should do your homework before you try to set something up for the first time. I like to experiment with things, you know, like it's one of those things where I have to always try new things. I'm actually addicted to it, and it can be a problem. But for those of you who don't know, Sharif is not only a content creator in his own right, but he's also a knife designer. So I know that before I knew that you made content, I had seen your designs out there. So for anybody that's tuning in now or tuning in later, what do you think your favorite designs have been so far?
Oh, for me, stuff that I've made or in general? Like
things that, so I really want to talk to you about some of your favorite designs in general, but let's start off with, so for example, my favorite design that you've done so far is the Veloce. That knife is so straight fire.
Veloce and the Grazioso, like, I straight up love this thing.
Yeah.
This was like my first really like passion project as far as like knife design is concerned. And yeah, then the premium Grazioso for sure.
Yeah, that's slick, man. That's premium right there. And you know, so it was kind of funny. You had a video that I checked out the other day. It was on fidget factor being completely overrated. And I love that you actually made a video about that because, you know, the knife community is so divided. Like half of us just want something we can play with at our desk, you know, even though it's not socially acceptable. And, you know, you get in trouble, you know, with the spouses and with HR and with random people on the bus. But I think that it's a really good topic to talk about because my approach is I love fidget factor. You know, if you've seen my regular garbage rankings, it's my favorite thing to talk about. But it's because for me, what makes a knife fidgety is all the things that make a great knife, because the better the knife is, the more I want to hold it. Like, ironically for me, I don't actually find button locks to be as fidgety because they don't have a detent. It's all spring based. And, you know, it's just one of those things where that topic, had you not made that video, I would have never looked at it from the standpoint of some people just buy knives just to fidget with them, and they only care about having 10 deployment options. So,
which is the part that drives me nuts because, like, my whole contention on some level with the video was about managing expectations.
Right.
Like, I remember in our little kind of exchange in the comments, you know, everything that you listed about what makes you enjoy and want to fidget with a knife is what makes a fundamentally good knife, right? But my issue was always when people started looking for like 3, 4, you know, or more deployment methods. Like, they don't realize that the utility of the knife begins to take like a nosedive, you know?
Absolutely.
And it really has to do with like the lock interface and all of that stuff. I won't like rehash it, but sometimes a fidgety knife can only have one deployment method, and that's okay because it preserves the utility, you know? Like, I have this bestech, giant mouse Nazca, and like only one deployment method, but man, like, this thing is fidgety as all get out. I love this knife, you know?
Dude, giant mouse does it up though. And real quick, shout out to my man Duty's Daggers in the house.
What up?
How's it going, Kev?
Nice to meet you guys.
I feel like there's so many Kevins in the knife world.
There's quite a few, yeah.
And you guys are braver than me, because most people, unless you want a giveaway or unless I send out stickers, I haven't really mentioned my real name. Most people just call me Rolls or Rollo or Bro. Or
I was actually going to ask you about that. I was wondering what your subscribers call you. Is it just Roll? Or
well, it depends on it really depends on whether or not I'm dishing on their favorite knife or not. That's a joke. That's a joke. No. So my real name is Kelly. I'm a Kelly in the midst of a lot of Kevins. But I go by Rollshambo.
You're close. You're very close.
There's a little bit of a story behind that, though. Like I had a YouTube channel back in college. It was like, I feel old now. That was about 14 years ago, and I tried to do a YouTube channel about hookah because I really loved smoking hookah. Because when you're in college, you love smoking everything. Like,
hell yeah.
Yes.
And like I was getting like hookah products for free. That was my favorite thing, is that I didn't have to pay for it. So I was getting like all this stuff for free because there wasn't really a big market for people doing hookah reviews. And so, but my videos were terrible. Like I look back on them, and then I left that scene, and I realized that the job market, employers look at your social media. They look at things like YouTube, Facebook.
Oh yeah.
And so I deleted all the videos, and the channel never went the direction I wanted it to go. And so when I started this one back in June, I decided, you know what? It's time that we finish some unfinished business and do this right this time. So I kept the name, even though Rollshambo means absolutely nothing. I chose it because I chose it because Rollshambo was taken. And so
there you go.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I don't know who is about to talk, but yeah, so wait, were you into knives back when you were into hookah as well, and you just decided to go the hookah route?
So I've always loved knives, but my thing is that I never was into collecting knives. Like I got my first knife at 6 years old. My dad always EDC'd these slip joints and these lockback knives, like buck knives, and old case slip joints. And I remember I was 6 years old, and I stole one of his knives, and he caught me because I cut myself with his knife fidgeting with a slip joint. And I got it, man. I got the belt for that. Back in the day, parents weren't afraid to do the harsh punishment, and I got it. And then months later, during Christmas, he gave me my own knife, and he said, "Don't cut yourself with this one." So it was over ever since then. But real quick, shout out to Beefer Baron with the $5 dono. He says, "You the man, love the show." Hey, you know what? You guys watching, you guys in the chat, you guys are the show. We do this because we absolutely enjoy hanging out with you. I'm gonna catch up with the chat for a little bit. We got my man I Am Banks in the house, Oreo Dave, Top Dog, El Cap Addict, Honey Bear in the house, and Old Dominion EDC. Old Dominion EDC, shout out to him. He's sending me a Curtis F3 to check out. And I don't know, a lot of people have seen me drooling over the Curtis F3s, but I haven't pulled the trigger yet. Sharif, Kev, you guys check out an F3 yet?
I've never handled one, but man, I've had my eye on it for, it's a badass knife.
Nice.
They look so good.
Yeah.
But I know years ago I watched an old MC video where was it MC or maybe it was somebody else, but they had an issue with lock stick. They sent it in to Curtis. Curtis sent it back, and the lock bar didn't engage at all. And then after that, it just turned into like a customer service nightmare.
Oh dang!
So as much as I've wanted one, I've had the opportunity to get them. I just haven't, and so I'm really excited to check that out.
Yeah, Kev, that's awesome.
Kev, what are you carrying today?
Today I had of course, the McB. I've been obsessed with this little guy. It's the perfect fifth pocket carry. It's, I've been on kind of a quest to find the perfect small knife, and this does it for me, man. I took the pocket clip off and put a lanyard on it, so I just slip it down in the pocket, and with the lanyard, it's easy to grab it, pop it out. I love it, man.
So
it's awesome.
So I'm a large knife kind of guy. Like I love big knives. There's just something so comforting about having a gigantic blade in my pocket.
Oh yeah.
But lately I've been getting into small knives. So check this out. This is the Ostap Hell Design Beehive. This isn't out yet. I got lucky talking with the bestech rep, and he sent me a box full of unreleased bestech knives. And this is one of them. And I'll tell you what, G10 14 C28N, super fidgety, front flipper.
What is it? A hole?
So it does have a deployment hole, and it does work. It's running on bearings. Okay. I don't know the price on this guy yet.
I wouldn't imagine it would be too expensive. I like that kind of hot build.
I'm assuming, and I try not to assume too much on unreleased knives, because then I say one thing and it gets released, and then I'm a butthead for getting people's hopes up at should be $40. Turns out it's $70. No, but I would assume this is going to be somewhere in the $40 to $70 range would be my guess.
That sounds right. Yeah.
But what this reminded me of was the Straylet, the folding push dagger from, because that one's also designed, and apparently this is part of Ostap's boutique line where he takes inspiration from flowers. I never really thought like knives and flowers. I mean,
I wouldn't have thought it, but hey, it looks cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm typically a big knife person too. I've just been kind of, I like the combo. I like having the little tiny guy, and then also like I always have a main carry. But I was actually thinking I probably could get away with doing all my cutting tasks with the McBee. In all reality, I really actually don't need that much.
So that's a McNeese Knives design, right?
Yeah.
And small knives, like for me, one of the reasons why I have a hard time with small knives is that I have like most men, I've got large to extra large size hands. I don't like 3-finger grips. I like a full 4-finger grip. It doesn't have to be like huge, but as long as I get a good handle on it, because every time, especially recently, that I've cut myself, it's because I didn't have a good grip on the knife, or I was trying to grab it without paying attention. As much as I handle them, you'd think I'd be more careful, but
it happens. It happens.
There's a magical proportion, by the way, where you get into a smaller knife where it somehow still works.
Right.
Which I think that McBee definitely does.
What's your favorite small knife?
Ooh. Dang, you know what? I got it in front of me, actually. Ooh, it's not that... Well, no, it's one of two. There's this guy, the Real Steel Luna.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I've seen that one.
The frame lock version, which is cool. Really, dude, so slim. It's like bug out slim.
Wow.
And then the other one is the Kershaw Auto Hawkbell. Do you know? I think it's like the Launch 13 or something like
that. So, I was gonna say, you were talking about handle proportions. One of the reasons why I love this guy, we're talking, this has got to be like a 2-inch blade. I didn't get an information sheet, but look at how scalloped out those scales are. So you can actually choke up, and your pinky rests right there on the butt of the handle scales. So it's not a true 4-finger grip, but I mean, if you cut boxes all day, if you work in a shipping department, this is it, man.
Yeah.
They mentioned, because I watched they did a little bit of an info. They did a review of it at SHOT Show, and he mentioned that they might be doing a more premium version of this. If this comes out in S35VN and titanium, I'm all over it.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
They can take my money. I will throw it at them. This is an excellent carry, but I'm excited about that. Yeah. man, we got some stuff going on in the chat. Oreo Dave shouting out Sharif's channel. Thank you. Huge shout out, by the way, to my mods. The mods in the chat are absolutely phenomenal for all the work they do. You'd think that I paid them, but I'm poor. I spend all my money on knives. So Oreo Dave, Top Dog, thank you guys so much. We got Tori Casey in the house, Lone Wolf, Dwayne Letterman. El Capped Addict says, I think you kind of need at least half an inch in diameter on the largest fruit you might conceivably eat from a grocery store on the road, maybe 2 inches minimum. I'm not sure if I caught on to that. Hey, that's what I'm talking about. That's a Kershaw you were talking about.
Knife. Yeah.
Is that the 10?
It could be. It's the 10 or I think it's the 10.
Okay. Yeah, that's
just like you, like it's a hawkbill. It's just so nice, convenient. Like,
yeah, that's a package destroyer.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
love that thing.
What else we got? So, I know everyone's been keeping up with Benchmade's drama recently. I had a freaking Benchmade, man. So I had a friend of mine at work. He watches the channel and he's like, hey, I've got some knives. Would you like to review them? Anytime I can save money on shipping, like the biggest channel expense that I have is shipping. I'll take it. And so he recently hooked me up with this, the Vault.
Oh, dang.
And so I have never bought a Benchmade myself. I've never spent the money, taken the plunge. I know that people love them. But what I didn't know was how much I would actually be impressed by this guy. I'm a microtech. I'm like, when I get OTFs, I usually get microtech. The Infidel feels so good in the hand, but it has this, and I don't know if you can see this. It's not going to focus. It's D2, and I know that Benchmade does a good job with their D2, which is something to be said, because D2 gets a bad name for its inconsistency, but it's still D2. And so I picked this up and like, man, I like this. You know what? Maybe this is one that I could see myself buying. Like, yeah, this is, in my opinion, much better fit and finish than the Shootout, which is $300 for those that didn't know. It didn't used to be, but it is now.
Yeah.
Duty knows. That one looks like the one that I reviewed.
I just got it. You sent it to me.
Right on. So I looked this up. Guess how much these are going for now? D2.
How much?
$500.
Oh.
Like, you got to be out of your gourd. $500.
That's insane.
Guess what they used to go for? Stupid. They used to be $248. At $248, this is a sale. I would buy this at $248.
For some reason, I thought that knife was way bigger than that. I think that's a really good size, actually.
So this is the mini Infidel. I'm pretty positive.
Oh, there's a mini. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I think.
Yeah, it's got to be.
It's got to be. It's got to be. I didn't. Yeah,
I'm balling. Look how many Benchmades I got.
That's like the housing market. You get in early, right? And then the value goes up. No, it's cool.
So dumb.
It's cool. I got some sweet knives to review in this case, though. I was like, hey, you mind if I take a couple of weeks with these? And he's going to be out of the office for like a month, so I can take my time, which is good. But let's see. The Arcane Abyss with the Damasteel is in there. The Spartan Harsey Folder is in there.
Oh, I want to get my hands on one of those bad.
Yeah, me too.
So I got lucky, because normally I have to reach out to people, hope somebody's willing to lend me something. So that was cool. But now the problem I have is that I've got almost 2 mini knives to review. So I had to create a spreadsheet to keep track of everything, because I'm like, I don't want to accidentally hang on to someone's knife for 2 months, because if that happened to me, I'd be upset. So now I've had to organize everything. Kind of
El
crazy.
Cap in the chat says the regular infidel is almost 4 inches. So yeah, that's got to be
this would be the mini then. This is the perfect size. I don't think I'd want this if it was any bigger. I'm going to look for one of these on the secondhand market and hope that they're a little kinder than benchmade, because $400 is too much for this. Like,
dude, that at most should be $280.
Exactly. Yeah. I want to know, like, I think that if you're going to boost your price and not give us anything new, you got to tell the people why. Like, I understand why gas is so expensive, but I don't understand why Benchmade has decided to inflate their prices so far. Like, is there an issue with staffing for manufacturing? Is there a materials shortage? No. Or are you leaning on your fan base and just saying, hey, you know what? Even if we sell 50% less at almost twice the profit margin, we can afford it.
That's it, in my opinion.
And they're the only knife company that's raised their prices that drastically. So it's not a materials thing. It can't be.
No.
Yeah.
Dude, bug out. FRN with a coated blade. This is a $180 knife right now.
Yeah, insane.
And I love the bug out. Don't get me wrong. I think it was a great concept. But even when it first came out, this one was $136 when I bought it. Right? Even that was too expensive. I tried to decide for weeks if I was going to buy this, because I was like, plastic handles, S30 blade steel, like, come on.
Yeah.
You know? And now it's 180. Bro, I got eggs to buy.
Eggs are like 50 cents a pop right now. You know, I'm about to start my own chicken coop and do this black market.
Yeah,
you know, like,
and then there's the
for cheaper.
There's the Hogue Deca, which this is in Magna Cut. I got it on a Black Friday deal for $100.
Exactly.
For the Deca, it's insane, dude.
So I think it's crazy. You know, while we're in this discussion, I think that it's absolutely bananas that we've got companies like Microtech. Microtech has never been known for being budget friendly, or I would even necessarily say being fair with their pricing, but they're coming out with the MSI at an MSRP of $250, and a Ramlock stitch at what's it going to be, like 300? Like,
I forget, but yeah.
Like, I hate to do this because Tony Marfione is widely known as a bit of a dick, but I got to shout out Microtech for understanding that they had an opportunity to undercut Benchmade heavily with a design that is most likely going to drive people nuts. Even people that don't like Microtech are looking forward to the MSI and the Ramlock stitch. So, I mean, got to give them their credit there. But the barrier for entry with Benchmade, I don't know how people can defend it. I had a guy in my comment section the other day that was like, well, they have this Life Sharp program where they, you know, you can send it in and they'll replace the part, like any worn out parts, and they'll sharpen the blade. Well, I sharpen my own knives. Like, I don't want a belt. I don't like factory edges because the belts can burn the metal. You know, it can ruin the heat treat. It can be uneven.
Also, I don't think they'll touch it if you have aftermarket scales or have taken it apart.
Yeah.
I don't think they will mess with that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, like, my question
is a big, you know.
Well, the question then becomes, you know, like, who gets the most value out of that? Because at the end of the day, most enthusiasts that I know that are hardcore enthusiasts are going to sharpen their own knives in most circumstances. You know, there might be a few knives out there that they won't touch, but like, there's not a whole lot.
It's the average consumer. You have to always remember that, like, if you walk into like a gun store, a sporting goods store, you know, anything like that, that's not a haven for knife enthusiasts, the number one knife that you see in the United States is Benchmade. Right? So, like, that whole, like, life sharpening and all of that stuff, that's for them, like, realistically speaking. You know, they're never going to mod it. They're never going to touch the knife. They don't even know how knives get sharpened, you know, a lot of times. So they're going to sit there and be like, oh, you mean I can send this in? Somebody will take care of everything for me and send it back, no questions asked. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's really the target market for that, you know? But dude, $180 for a freaking bug out? Like, it's still. Oh, and here. Talking about like the MSI and like relating it to benchmade, right? With the narrows, they made this whole big deal like, oh, we revised like the whole mechanism for the axis lock, right?
Yeah.
And I finally got to see some pictures like top down into the opening of the blade, right? Or of the knife. And it's no different. It's an Omega like mechanism. Like they haven't really changed it. And when you look at the MSI, like the RAM lock, it actually looks more like the Anthem mechanism, which was widely regarded as like the most superior axis lock approach to date. So we're going to, with the MSI, we're going to get the best potential axis lock like method for $250, and with the narrows for $525, we're getting a revised freaking Omega lock. Like,
yeah. I think that they took something that wasn't an issue and tried to fix it. They're like, you know what people really need? They need a knife that's thinner than the bug out. Let's do that. And
who the hell wants a knife that thin? Like, is anyone looking for a super duper thin knife? What purpose is it?
Like, what problem are you trying to solve? Like, I don't.
Hipsters who are still wearing skinny jeans. That's who's the target market.
I guess
they stole mom's credit card. They're going to shop at REI. They're going to pick up that narrows.
Yep.
Why not? By the way, shout out to G-Ball Vision. G-Ball Vision in the house. How's it going, man?
What up, dude?
And back on the topic of the RAM lock, because Microtech made such a big deal of it. This is not another axis lock, and I get it because it doesn't have an Omega spring. But I looked at it, and you know what? It kind of reminds me of the Manix 2 lock, the ball bearing lock. If you're going to copy a lock, copy that one. For crying out loud, please. Spyderco has been doing it right with their locking mechanisms for a very long time, and if you're going to copy something, copy that. Would absolutely love that.
The benchmade Anthem was similar. It predates, I think, even the Manix lock, and you have a rod with the crossbar, and it's got almost like a pen spring. And it was just like a lot of people didn't see it with the benchmade Anthem because it was an integral. But if you disassembled it and you like pulled it out, it was a very, very like well thought out system. And I even think that the Manix was inspired a bit by the Anthem. I could be wrong there.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, there is no, like, there's nothing out there that's truly original anymore. I mean, there's weird blade shapes. I'll give you that. But I think it's become a matter of how can you design something that hits and checks all the boxes for the people that you're trying to design something for, and do it with a flair that's your own. Like, I'm not, the reason why I've never bought a benchmade bug out is because I get bored by knives that are really, really similar to other knives. And so, like, for example, I'm a huge fan of Midgards Messer knives because they're ridiculous, but they're ridiculous in a way that makes me really happy. Like I pull that out. No one's going to look at my Midgards Berserker and be like, yeah, it looks like XY. I mean, I suppose you could say the Berserker looks like a Spada XL. Someone said it looked kind of like an Spada XL, but
That's stretching it.
Yeah, it doesn't look like quite like anything.
Think about it. After like thousands upon, thousands of years of knife making, like something is going to look like something, even a little bit. So like people need to chill out with all of this, oh, it looks like that. It looks like this. Like, congrats. You have pattern recognition capability. Like,
oh, man.
Come on.
Yeah.
So I'm you guys are gonna have to forgive me. I've been playing Bob the Builder over here with the screen share. So Duty, if I don't know if you could see this, but I've got a browser window open.
I can see it on my phone. Yes,
I can only fit so much on a screen. Go figure. Anyways, I was going to take this opportunity because something we've been doing in these live streams for the last couple of weeks that I'm a huge fan of is channel raids. And that's where we take some suggestions from the chat and we go and we raid some channels and we leave some comments. We try to help boost the algorithm for some little unknown channels, or just channels that are on the rise. That's actually, Sharif, how I was introduced to your channel. Patina Turner shouted you out in the chat, and I checked it out live, and I was like, I really dig this because I don't know. I look for a certain style. I like conversational. I love the conversational style that you do on your channel, and also the knowledge that you bring to the table too, because I don't have that kind of rapport where I talk to a lot of designers. Like I've talked to a few, and I think that your take on certain things in the industry is really interesting. So shout out to Patina Turner for suggesting Sharif's channel, because I've been watching it a lot.
Cletus, love you, bro.
Hey, we got Matt Russell in the house. He says, although I wouldn't mind getting my hands on a Spyderco military with the compression lock. I am so glad I'm so glad they decided to bring that to the 21st century. You know, there's nothing wrong with the backlock. Backlocks are great, but the compression lock is where it's at for sure.
Hell yeah.
Dude, it's so funny because I did a video a while ago about why I think the PM2 is like fundamentally flawed as a knife design. And a lot of the criticisms that I put in with the PM2 were changes that they made into the military. And I'm not saying I influenced them, but it's like you can see that they're thinking like, oh, we don't need to do this way. We can make these changes. And then, like you said, when they added the compression lock, I'm like, I'm going to sell my PM2. I want a military, you know?
Oh, man. Well, we're on the topic of that. I mean, so this is a recent pickup, the Left Avant, or since it's the Thai version, it's the AVNT, but it's still pronounced Avant. This knife is won my heart. Okay. Especially after I put a Lynch Northwest clip on there, because the wire clip, I know some people swear by wire clips, but for me, I can't, like, at least on this one, I couldn't do it on this one. On the pinion, for example, the pinion with the wire clip feels good in the hand. I can forget that the wire clip is there because of its design. But on the Avant, it's typically the design I like, but the back end was so high that I could feel it in my palm, and it wasn't a hot spot. But have you guys ever like felt something, and once you feel it, you just can't unfeel it, and you start to think,
Nope.
like, I really wish that I just didn't think about this all the time. Once I put the Lynch Northwest clip on there, fantastic. This is like if Spyderco had a baby with Strider and they got the Koenig Arius involved. This knife is fantastic. And I got some skiff bearings coming in this week, which I'm really excited about putting on. Super fidgety though. Like this blade shape, fantastic.
Definitely.
It's not cheap though.
It looks like it always looked like a PM3 killer to me.
So it's the ironic thing is that this came in during my 30 days of carrying a paramilitary 2, because I decided to commit to carrying the paramilitary 2 for 30 days, and this comes in, and now they're both in my pocket, and the one that I reach for is this one, and this one's in my left hand pocket. I'm right-handed, so my main pocket, like the knife that I'm going to reach for, is always going to be in my right hand pocket. And this one's in my off pocket, and this is the one that I've been reaching for, which I stole that idea from Duty because I saw that he was doing the commitment carries, committing to carrying a certain knife. And I was like, I rotate through so many knives in my pockets. And even if I carry multiple, what have I really committed to? A bit of a knife thought over here, just strolling through.
It was good to do. I did it with the Kaiser drop bear. I didn't actually make it 30 days. I made it like 20 something. It was kind of nice to do that again because for so long I've just been like every day it's a different knife, and I kind of forgot what it was like to like kind of learn to love a knife and like get to know it slowly over time, like how I used to do it when I bought crap knives from whatever sporting goods store.
Right.
But I will say I did get tired of carrying it,
the crap knives that I used to think were really good were the CRKT knives.
Oh God.
Right out of high school, one of the jobs I did in the summertime to help pay for, stuff in college was wildland firefighting. And so I always carried a pocket knife. And I remember I'd go to the local Ace Hardware and be like, what's the best knife you got? They're like, have you seen our impressive line of CRKTs? And I was like, wow, it's an Oregon company. And, made in China, but Oregon company. And so, but you know what, for my purposes, they worked well. And so that's one of the reasons why when people are like, I can't carry a folding knife for this, I can't carry it for that. I'm like, I don't know how, unless you're using a knife for non-knife stuff, the question of whether or not it's actually usable is kind of a question mark for me, because anything past like regular cutting tasks, and you might as well just get a pry bar, a hammer, or a fixed blade, because most of the time, unfortunately, as much as I hate to say it, a liner lock is going to do the trick. And this one, I don't like liner locks, but this one is slowly bringing me around to understanding why it can actually be a good mechanism on a more premium model.
Well, especially with the titanium handle, and if it's an inset liner lock, that's badass, dude. Like the Deagle Knives Mash, I've been really loving. It's just kind of nice to not have to worry about a lock bar, I missed out on the Mash.
I saw it. I didn't hit it on release day though, and then they sold out on Blue Creek Knives. Did you get your hands on one?
Dude, look how smooth this thing is. This was right out of the box.
Ooh, that's classy.
Mine had a super nice detent. I think almost all of them had really good detents. I ended up putting a lynch clip on it. It comes with the wire, like you were just talking about.
Yeah.
Replaced it, but dude, this is a really, really good knife. And he was able to have it at a really good price using the 14C instead of a more premium steel. So it was like $130, $140.
So having seen a lot of Sharif's designs, Sharif, what are your thoughts on wire clips, man?
It all depends on how they do it, right? Like, for example, my Nazca here has got a wire clip, and I actually really love it because it disappears in my hand and I don't feel it. But for example, on like a PM3 lightweight, which I've got over here, right, with their weird like kinking shape, like it's terrible, it's annoying to me, and I can feel it, It's one of those, like, I'm a massive adherent of titanium milled pocket clips. Like, why are we still messing around with all of this other crap? Like, we know that they work. If they're designed properly, they disappear in your hand. Like, let's stop messing around,
Right.
Like, it's not that hard.
I just want to normalize good pocket clips. And I feel like in design,
please,
like manufacturers, especially the big ones, like, the Wee knife companies and the bestechs, and I'm not trying to throw shade at any manufacturers. I'm just saying, like, when they look at the dollars and cents and they're like, where can we cut costs to increase our margins enough to be able to put it here at this price and undercut a company like Benchmade. The good news is that they don't have to cut very much anymore to make that happen. But I feel like the pocket clip is the unintended victim of that pricing list. Like, you know, it's the employee that gets laid off. And I wish that wasn't the case, because to me, the pocket clip plays a really important role other than just its function as holding the knife in your pocket. If the pocket clip isn't designed well enough, it can really screw with the ergos. And that's something that I get tired of, because I'm like, beautiful knife, beautiful design, love the blade, love the materials. Why does the pocket clip suck? And and unfortunately, like, yeah, for a knife like this, you can get a replacement clip. You can get a replacement clip for a lot of civivis, especially now that they have their tie clips out there, and for some Kaisers. But there's also a lot of knives where you can't just replace the clip. You're stuck. And especially if you bought it as you know, like a $50, $60 budget EDC, are you really going to go out and spend, you know, 50% of the cost of the knife to replace a clip? And
exactly.
What I want to see is more milled aluminum clips, like 3D milled aluminum clips.
Dude, I think that's a great suggestion. I mean, for me, like, okay, I have, as I mentioned, a lot of problems with the PM2. So, like, here's mine. And one of the first things I did was switch out to a Rips Garage titanium pocket clip. And for a knife that doesn't even really fit my hand, it's borderline like a 3.5 finger knife with my freaking ham hock hands. With this clip, it all of a sudden feels like I'm rocking the knife without a clip. And it made this knife so much nicer in the hand, you know? And it's, from my perspective, like, how difficult is that for Spyderco to do? I mean, like,
not really.
It's not difficult at all. And it can, like, dude, I have, speaking of like almost like monthly carries, I'm rocking the Yojimbo in crew wear.
Nice.
And that's going to be the first thing that I swap out in this, is going to be to a titanium pocket clip, you know, because it's just, I feel this thing.
Oh man, I got to move my pile of boxes. So just like, I'm just curious, does anyone else have like way too many boxes around their desk?
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
Oh yeah.
I need more storage space.
You don't even want to see. I have a shelf above my desk, and they're about to fall down on top of me.
So, since we're talking Yojimbos, this is mine, and I modified the crap out of this thing. And the amount of gas station comments that I get, just it tickles me when they're like, "Oh, nice gas station knife." I'm like, I need to really find this gas station where people are getting, you know, titanium knives with good steel, and like, why does my gas station suck? My gas station doesn't even sell knives. But so people question me all the time. They're like, if you really like the knife, why would you modify it? And I think that's a topic worth discussing, because, for example, I have, and Duty, I know that you love the 80 20.5. For me, that knife just, it annoys me, because I want to modify it, but I don't want to spend more on like the scales than the knife cost, or the knife should cost. And so, for example, it's hard for me to justify spending the extra money on a knife that I felt should have cost less. And for those reasons, it's hard for me to go out there and buy the scales, even though I know that will make me happier. When in reality, I felt okay spending the extra cash on titanium scales, titanium clip, the 5x5 Emerson Wave, because I already loved the knife. I knew it was something I was going to carry. And when I look at something like the 80 20.5, that's, to me, I'm like, because I have such an issue with the valuation, like the value proposition on this knife, it's hard for me to go out there and spend the money, even though I know that once I get thicker scales and titanium or aluminum, that I would like it more, because then I'll be thinking about how much I spent on it, and it still has an Oz 10 blade. That crushes me.
I think it comes down to if you like the knife enough to want to mod it, you know, it's just a matter of if you like it enough to want to do it. You know, with the 80-20.5, just stick the one that already comes with titanium and 3V blade steel.
Yeah,
and you're good to go.
Hey, still cheaper than a Benchmade arrows. You could get almost get two of those for the cost of an arrows. And you know what? Yeah. Shout out to Benchmade for all of a sudden making the Andrew Demko's company look like they're doing reasonable pricing now.
But back to the clip thing. Yeah. I have replaced more clips than scales than anything else on any of my knives. I don't know what the percentage is, but I replace clips all the time, all the time. Even civivis, Kaisers, everything. So yeah, it's a really big problem that we're not getting good clips right off the get-go.
Absolutely.
I don't know what there is to do about that. But.
Real quick, I got Ian Coates in the house. He says, get a Zan, an Umnumzan. I'm probably screwing up that pronunciation. If only it was that easy. Like, I would love to have one of those. I would love to have one.
I'll tell you a little bit of story. When I first started working with Kaiser, Dr. EDC, who's now working with Vostede, right, was the lead designer over at Kaiser, and I used to yell at him really almost on a regular basis about pocket clips. And I would tell him you guys gotta work on the damn pocket clips. It's not acceptable for you guys to be selling a knife for over $100 and for it to have a shit pocket clip. It makes no sense. And he was like, oh, but he could seriously he used his engineering background as a method of kind of talking his way out of stuff. He'd be like, oh, but the spring retention rate over the long term and is better with these bent steel pocket clips. And I'm like, yes, but the consumer is telling you that fucking sucks. So do something about it.
It's like, man,
I don't care about the engineering. So I started in engineering and I transitioned into industrial design because I realized that there's a really big part that's missing out of engineering, and that's understanding the psychology of the consumer. And that's where good industrial design comes in, right? I don't care about the statistics. I don't care about the numbers, right? It's what does the customer need? What are they telling you they want? What are the problems that they are regularly fixing on your product?
I'll tell you what I would forgive Spyderco's pocket clips for. If Spyderco just gave their ability to do proper heat treats to everybody else. Because they're maybe if we just make the pocket clip shitty enough, they'll ignore the fact that this M390 is at 59 HRC. Give them something else to talk about. It's a distraction method. It's kind of like dealing with the government. I don't know. That's kind of my gripe though, is the heat treat and pocket clips. I just want them to be better.
Sharif, I have a question for you. When you do a design with say Kubi, for example, are you kind of stuck with their selection of pocket clips as far as
no.
what goes on the knife?
Okay. It depends if it's a premium model or if it's a budget model. Okay. If it's a budget model, then yes, I am stuck with their pocket clips. But having said that, their current design for a deep carry pocket clip on the Ruckus is pretty low pro compared to a lot. For my big hands, I can feel this portion a little bit. The very sort of tip of that's a bit high, but with the exception of that, the rest of the pocket clip feels great. When it comes to premiums, on the Veloce, that is my design.
Okay, gotcha.
So if they go premium, they'll follow my recommendation, but if they go budget, they're just going with their mass produced pocket clip. Yeah. And even same with Kaiser, right? Like that's my pocket clip on the premium Grazioso, but if you go with the budget Grazioso, it's their standard D-carry bent pocket clip.
So,
Okay.
so I got a question for you. They always
Yeah.
say like never go into the kitchen of your favorite restaurant because you don't want to know how the sausage is made. So when you started working with like Kubi and Kaiser and coming out with your own designs, did it change how much you enjoyed certain things, or did it in some aspects like ruin anything for you when it came to just being an enthusiast?
So definitely the short answer or the TLDR is definitely not. Um, Kaiser in particular is an amazing company to work with. I love all of the staff there, and it's why for my first like Mangana steel branded knife, I chose them as my first OEM to go through. Right. Kubi, on the other hand, has had a bit of like changeover internally. So the person who initially sort of licensed, I think, my first like dozen designs, he left the company. There's new people there now. They don't share the same vision. So like there's been a little bit of a shakeup internally. Um, so my only sort of like negative per se with Kubi is that they're prioritizing more budgetary stuff now when they clearly have the chops to do really good premium stuff. So it's like, okay, guys, like I thought we were working together to like build Kubi to like Wii Knives level status,
Right.
and they're kind of like settling to be at like civivi level status right now. You know,
That's too bad
um,
because I've seen so many good designs and so much good fit and finish. You know, I checked out
exactly.
shout out to my viewers because they made it possible for me to check out a lot of knives that I wouldn't have had the means to do so. And one of them was a Kubi hide. And I was like, when I had that knife in hand, I kept going over like other knives in that price category. Like, would I rather carry this, or would I rather carry a sencut or a civivi or an
Right.
artisan cutlery, or, you know, a CJRB? And I was the amount of times where the answer was no, I'd rather carry this Kubi was surprising to me because, you know, when we think about the value brands, you know, the secondaries, you know, the CJRBs and the sencuts and
Right.
the civivis of the world, you know, these newer companies are really fighting for that spot. And I feel like that's a really good thing for us because I want them to battle it out and be like, no, I made the best knife at $50 because I want to buy that knife at $50. I don't want to buy it at the $100 price point that they may have done so before. So I just want to see, I want to see a company that understands that if they put the dollars and cents first, they won't get the same amount of dollars and cents, because I feel like a lot of companies do that. They're like, well, what is our margin on this? Because they're looking at it from the standpoint of profit, and they have to in some regards because they're a business. But
Yeah.
when you look at the ones that are really successful, I feel like the design heavy ones that understand, you know what, maybe we're going to go with micarta instead of titanium, but check out this design language that really works well with, you know, garage stop pins, ceramic bearings instead of steel bearings. Or maybe we're going to go for that hydraulic action with the phosphor bronze washers, which I've actually been getting more into. I used to be big on bearings, but phosphor bronze washers.
Bushing life, bro. Join it. Join it.
So this is one of my favorite knives to carry, period, is the Strider AR 75.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have a fall shut action. It's not super fidgety because the lock bar is like it's the edge of a cliff. Medford didn't do a good job of knocking down the lock bar lip on here, so it's on the sharper end of things. But the action, that hydraulic action, just feeling this heavy blade, just like, oh, it's fantastic. Yeah. And it's not like my Spydercos either that are on washers.
No, it's literally like you described. It's hydraulic. Like you really feel like you're pushing like a hydraulic piston down, and you just feel it loading up until the detent catches it. I don't know. It's very romantic to me. I love the feeling. No, but to your point of like with like Kubi and then prioritizing, in my opinion, like value rather than like chasing the dollar, right? This is my this is a giveaway ruckus for Vince's charity raffle, right? And dude, titanium bolsters blued, right? G10 deep carry pocket clip, OS 10 cage ceramic bearings. This thing's $50. You know what I mean? Like,
and obviously for $50, they wouldn't sell it at that price if they weren't making something on it, right?
exactly.
So we know that the quality is there. We know that the materials are there. So the question becomes like, why? Or why not? To your point, this is the new Bestech Keen 2. I'm going to have a review on this coming out soon. This is G10 with a titanium lock side and S35 VN on the blade steel. And if you go to White Mountain Knives right now, you'll see that they're going to be selling these at a manufacturer advertised price of like $270. Now, this is a Morgan Cohen's design, and I really like Morgan Cohen's designs. I think that he's a really, really cool designer, but his knives are never on the cheaper end. But from a materials standpoint, it's the same materials as what you just went over. For $50 on that side, $270 here. And so I just feel like we need more of that competitiveness to get more quality with better materials. Agreed. And that price tag down.
Even taking it a step further with Kubi, right? The Veloce right now, right? Full titanium ball bearings, S90V blade. If you buy it, like, and I'm not trying to like honk my own stuff, right? Like, but on Knife Global right now, they're going for 150. It says 175, but you add it to cart and it's 150, right? This is why I get so riled up about Benchmade charging $180 for a freaking bug out. And like, why? Okay, let's say maybe the heat treat isn't like hyper ideal, worst case scenario. Everything else, the tolerances, the fit and finish, the manufacturing, the milling is like insanely good. Every other detail about this knife is like 100% perfect, and you can get it for like 150. I don't understand why companies are charging so much for like a lot of their stuff.
The market will bear what the market will bear, and this is a point that I've made when discussing the Demko 80 20.5, because a lot of people seem to think that once Andrew Demko gets his company going, that all of a sudden he's going to bring his prices down. But that's not how business works, because the market has proven exactly. The market has said this is what the market will bear. People will buy Oz 10 and Grivery as long as you give them a really, really good locking mechanism, and that's what it is. That's what you're buying. It's a really good locking mechanism. But this is what the market will bear. And so many people said, you're not being fair. He's just starting his business. He needs this to start his business. I'm like, but the price isn't going to go down. The price will go up.
Dude, you don't need to operate on over 300% margins. Like, you just don't, right? And mind you, this is coming from a guy who spent, $260, $270 on an Emerson, right? 154 PM blade steel in G10 just because I like Emersons. You know what I mean?
So I think we all have those knives that we know we overpaid on, but we don't care because we just like them so much. Duty, what do you got? What do you think the knife that you spent more than you should have, but you don't care?
Oh shit. I don't know. Probably maybe my XM18. It's not a very practical knife. It's thick as hell behind the edge. It's big. It's too heavy, but I just love it. I love it so much, and to me, it was worth paying the money for it. And even further, the $200 for this one textured titanium scale. That's outrageous, dude. But it was worth it to me because I wanted a full titanium hinder, and I've always wanted one. So it was worth it, and I did it, and I'm happy. So
I feel like, so I am not the biggest hinderer fan, but I make an exception for the half-track Warney. The half-track Warney is absolutely got to be one of my most lusted after designs, but you can't find them. Like, I've seen half tracks go on sale and I've seen them drop, but they're never the Warncliffe style.
There's my ZT hinderer right there.
Oh, that's sick. I like that a lot.
Did you see that ZT's releasing another? We were talking about this in the chat the other day. They're releasing another ZT hinderer design with the handle scales that some people really like and some people really don't.
Hey man, the way it's funny because I'm kind of like Duty, like I really like this knife. There's no explanation for why I like it as much as I do, but I spent $70 on scales and $70 on a pocket clip to get an OG hinderer pocket clip.
Yeah,
and I love the knife. Like it's irrational. You just want the thing, you like it, it feels good in hand. You're just like,
that's the irony though, isn't it? Like, here we are, people that invest so much of our own money into a hobby that is irrational. Like, what's rational? having like two knives, that's rational. But we spend all of our time making content rationalizing the cost and why I need 50, 60 knives in my collection. Like, I have that conversation with myself every day.
Dude, no. Once you start trying to like overly rationalize it, it's not a hobby. It's something that you're just doing like mindlessly. Like that's my perspective. Even with like guns, like. I have way more than I need, and I don't even have that many, right? I've got like maybe 6 or 7. But like, if I talk to like an average person, they're like, "Oh my God, you have 6 or 7?" And I'm like, "Yeah, and I plan on getting more." Like,
hey,
what do you want from me?
So I've been trying to popularize this topic of I could buy a benchmade Narrows, or I could, and you just made me think, I could buy a benchmade Narrows, or I could buy a couple thousand rounds of ammunition and have a good day at the range.
Exactly.
It's like,
yep. Have any of you guys fans of Sharp by Design, Brian and Joe stuff?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I just got my this knife I've been searching for a very long time. The Mini Tempest with the black PVD and the gold carbon fiber.
Dang.
That's
dude,
beautiful.
This thing is unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. I'm so happy. The hand satin too is just insane.
So now the $1 million question is, are you going to carry it?
Realistically, no.
But I have to ask, because I know that when I get a knife, like for example, this Strider, ever since I knew this existed, I wanted one. I knew that I wanted one, and I got it. And for the first couple of days, I didn't carry it because I was like, I can't even believe that it's here. If I couldn't carry it. And then I started paying attention to how this knife was designed, and people gave this knife so much shit for this because they did a satin finish and then they did a stone wash over the entire knife. So the blade is stone washed, the handle scales are stone washed. And I realized, I was like, it doesn't for a reason. Not because stone wash over a belt satin finish looks good. It doesn't actually. But what it does do is it makes you look at it from a standpoint of, it doesn't matter if this gets dinged in my pocket because they already dinged it from the factory. It's like, you're never going to ruin the finish on this knife because they already did that. And I wonder, because I know that Mick Strider has said things before, like, I want people to carry my $3,000 SMF custom and stuff. But when you're the consumer buying that and you've been drooling over it for however so long and you finally get it, the question is, can you bring yourself to carry it? And if I had that Tempest, I'll be honest, I probably wouldn't carry it either. That would be tough for me.
What I mean by not carry it is I will carry it on weekends and cut light stuff with it. I do that with all my knives. But when I think of carry, I mean like carrying it at work, you know, when it's going to get really used heavily. That I won't do. But I'll carry it on a weekend, you know.
So I'll admit I have one knife in my entire collection that I will never carry and never use. And it's... yeah, I have no other justification for it, but it's this Sukhoi 4 from CKF.
Oh.
And this guy with Zircotai, milled carbon fiber, M398, like, I really want to beat the blade up and really use it, but at the same time, only if I had two. This guy has got to go. I want this on my wall, you know.
That's beautiful, man.
Look, I'm gonna need some more napkins. You got to warn me before you do stuff like that. By the way, shout out to Tri-State EDC in the house. How's it going, Cole?
What up, Tri-State?
Good to see him, dude. I've been doing this thing where I love carrying my knives. I don't own a single knife right now that I will not carry. I will carry everything that I own. And I've come to just enjoy... I enjoy the snail trails. I don't know if that sounds great, but it's true. Like,
I do too.
Because if it's there, if the blemish is there, it means that I used it. There might be a story behind it. It's something that's more personalized, kind of like when you carry wood and it naturally patinas over time with like the oils from your hands, or, you know, maybe it gets that one crack in it because you had to do a lot of stuff out in the rain and you forgot to put it away. And so I've been learning to enjoy the natural patina that comes with use. And so if I can't carry it, I won't buy it.
So I have two theories with regard to that, right? Like, I do think that there are some knives which you're buying simply to collect, and that's where the Sukhoi 4 is for me, right? Like, I have so many knives that, like, I don't carry, that I wanted to say, like, okay, if I'm gonna not carry it, and I don't carry them because I just have so many. I can only go through so many knives, like, in a month, right? But I said, if I'm going to not carry a knife, let me sell some of those. And with the money I get from those, I can get something that I really see as like an art piece, as something that I can just admire. And fine, I don't carry it just like the other knives, but I can at least appreciate its beauty and all of that, right? Absolutely. But on the flip side, like my Arcane Design Necronaut... dude, that thing is snail trailed up, bro. Like, I use the hell out of that knife, you know?
Oh, man.
And that's kind of the beauty in, like, romance. Even my, like, user Grazioso, I don't know if it'll come through. I doubt it. But, dude, I've snail trailed up my user knives.
It just becomes the new finish, you know? It's, it's the pocket wash finish.
It is. And, like, I don't understand why people are so scared of it, because, like, worst case scenario, you send it over to somebody like Knife Modders, ask them to blast it, and it completely gets rid of all of that, you know? Like,
well, and,
shit.
You know, and there's something to be said for learning how to anodize scales. So, like, I've been looking into anodizing titanium for a hot minute now. And I have a couple knives that I don't like. If I destroy them, you know, by learning how to anodize, it will have been well worth the sacrifice to learn how to do it. And so I've got some plans in the future. I'm going to be playing around with the, at-home DIY ano, because everyone knows they can RIT dye G10, but how many people actually have the balls to be like, here's my $600 titanium knife, let's go anodize it because I want something that's custom. I want to get good enough at it where I can do that. And yeah,
that'd be sweet.
Who knows?
Dude, stock up on some CRKT Polars to practice with,
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking about starting off with aluminum, because you can anodize aluminum too. And it's like, you know what? Go big or go home. And I can't go home because I'm already home. I work from home. I do the channel from home. So I can only go big. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to catch up with the chat a little bit.
Yeah.
Pretty fly for a knife guy's in the house. We got Double D says the knife community is missing out if they're not in the chat tonight. Good work, fellas. Yeah, no, this is so. In case you're just tuning in now, a huge shout out to my man Duty's Daggers and Mangana Steel for hanging out with me tonight. I don't know. I think they took pity on me. They're like, you know what? We think Rollshambo needs some friends because he's been spending way too much time on his videos. So thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. And if you guys haven't already, make sure you head on over to their channels. Subscribe. I think that we've got a pretty decent amount of crossover, but if you haven't checked out their channels, make sure you do that. Especially if you don't like my intros. I've had some people recently in the comment section being like, why do you do that weird thing with your hands? A lot of people apparently they're talking about this. I don't know another way to show the knife in this viewpoint. I don't know how to do it, but
like this.
Exactly. No.
Yeah, momentum.
It is what it is. But anyways, so both of these channels really, really awesome. Can highly recommend. I watch both of their channels all the time, and guys, I'm really looking forward to doing this more often. Currently,
it's really fun, man.
Currently, I only stream on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Mountain Time. I know. Sharif, you're in California, right? So we're an hour.
Yes, sir.
I'm an hour ahead of you. And then I think you're both actually in California.
Yeah, we both are.
Yeah, that's fantastic. A lot of people are like, dude, you're on way too late. Plus, Neves is on at 7, so sorry.
It's hard to find a time slot these days.
It's crowded. And so to everyone that's in the chat tonight that's watching, thank you, because I know that to be here, you decided to watch this instead of Neves, and that's tough because I love Jared's live streams. I always pop in there for a few minutes before this one. It gets me pumped, gives me some ideas.
I gotta go pretty soon, but I have one more question for Sharif.
What's up?
I'm kind of just recently getting into the Tucson catalog. There's seemingly hundreds of knives. Have you done any designs with them?
No, I haven't. And the reason why is because Tucson doesn't offer royalties.
Really?
They want to they want to buy the knife design outright from the designers.
Huh.
And generally speaking, for me, the amount of money, and I get it. Tucson's business model is kind of insane. They sell their stuff on eBay and let people bid and determine the price, which is nuts. But one knife, if you like bigger knives, definitely check out the TS380. It's designed by my buddy Roman. Actually, I can show it to you. I just happen to have my big case here.
So real quick, shout out to Oreo Dave with the $2 donut. Says Sprinkled Donuts wants to see the Ojimbo and know a price. So what he's referring to is that he knows that at one point I was looking to sell this knife, and I still might do it. Because then it would give me an excuse to get a crewwear one and then do a new custom, or a new modified rather. The price that I'd let this go for, keep in mind I probably have about $400, close to $500 in this knife. I would let this go for $250. That is the price.
Legit.
That's a really good price. Jesus. So, dude, check this out. This is the TS380.
Ooh.
14C28N, full titanium with gigantic carbon fiber inlay, titanium pocket clip. It's a bit of a beefy bowl, as you can see.
I like that.
But dude, yeah, my boy Roman did an amazing job on the design of this knife. And yeah, just reverse flickable, nice flipper tab. I mean, and I think I just saw one on eBay. Current bid was like $90.
That's insane.
Yeah. So like this is funny enough the only Tucson I currently own, and I think it's one of the best. Like definitely worth checking out.
That's you said it was the 380?
Yeah, TS 380.
380. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'll keep an eye out for that one.
Then there's Kev, there's this one that you should check out, man, if you get a chance. It's the TS 186, the Kingfisher. Carbon fiber, shredded carbon fiber inlays, M390 on the blade, titanium handle scale with a pocket clip that is both 3D milled and also disappears in the hand. Like the pocket clip, believe it or not, one of my favorite things about this knife, because it's not hideous. It doesn't try to take over the design, and it disappears in the hand. So if you want to check this one out, let me know. We could probably work something out, and I could probably send it to you.
Yeah, my buddy was just telling me about that one. He said it was absolutely nuts for the price. So yeah, I need to check it out.
I picked it up, and then they sold out on White Mountain Knives, and I was like, wait, I linked it, and now it's already gone.
Yeah, they go so fast on White Mountain.
Dude, yeah. Tucson is such a crazy company, because if you see behind the curtain and you learn the cost of manufacturing, these guys are selling these knives so close to cost, it's insane. Like, they're maybe making 20 to 30% over the cost of the knife if they're lucky.
Wow.
Versus like if you look at something like, not to bag on Benchmade, let's look at any other company. They're probably making upwards of like 300%. So like, like Tucson is killing it as far as pricing is concerned.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, this TS 269, one that I got recently, I did a video comparing it to one of my Chavez knives, and I can't tell a difference in the fit and finish. This is a $90 knife. The Chavez is what, like $325 around there? Yeah. I can't tell a difference in the fit and finish. Like, honestly, I can't. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It really makes you wonder, like, if Tucson is willing to do that, if they're willing to take the risks and put the design first and let the customer dictate, because that's what Tucson does really good, is they let the market dictate the price. Like the one that everyone loves is, I think it's like the TS 100. This is one of my issues with them, is that they don't use model names most of the time. They do model numbers for everything. Started out as like a $120 knife, titanium M390, and now it's a legitimate $300 knife, and you can't ever find them because at that price they always sell out. And I wish that more knife companies would do that, but it's a business model that's really, really risky, I think, because it
is,
especially as Sharif was saying, is that if they're selling them that close to cost, that means that you're basically buying into a product for them to see if it's worth it for them to continue making it, and if it's something that will eventually get to its eventual price point, right? Because that's how they would make money off of it, is if the consumers drive the price up through availability and through like their eBay stores and Amazon and whatnot. Because, for example, this guy, the Kingfisher, is not a new model. This has been out for a couple of years, but it sells out at its price. If you buy this from their Amazon distributor, it's $150. If you get it from White Mountain Knives, it's $121. And so already on this, we've started to see that increase go up. So the question then becomes, like, why don't more knife companies do this? I think it's because they don't want to take the risks.
It's partially the risk, and it's partially because Tucson can bank on like such intense volume. Like there, I don't see a Tucson that doesn't sell out, right? Whereas, like again, let's look at benchmade. Like benchmade has to, on some level, sit on inventory, you know. But at the same time, even at $130, the bug out is still probably like a $200 or 200% like profit margin.
Oh.
You know, like think about it.
It's so cringy.
Plastic. It's plastic, steel, and the slimmest bit of steel like you can imagine.
I mean, that's it. It's an award-winning design. We got to give them their flowers at some point. But their markup is. By the way, shout out to Piper Kennard with the $2 dono. Says, "What's up, guys? Piper, we're talking shop on a lot of different things. We're blessed to be here with Mr. Duty's Daggers, who I know he's got to head out here soon, and Sharif Manganis, the man, the myth, the legend, the knife designer and content creator in his own right, joining us, answering the tough questions today because he's given us the insight. I haven't talked to too many people that are both content creators and knife designers that weren't content creators first. And so I think that's what makes Sharif's point of view really, really interesting, is because he had the chance to do that first and then start making content. So
that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Tristan says tinkly bells for Piper. I don't have bells here on this channel. My wife would absolutely kill me if I got some tinkly bells. I'm sorry, Sharif. Go ahead.
No, it's what I would love to see is like, I mean, again, benchmade amazing, did bits with the bug out. Like I said, I love the knife personally. How many knives that you know that are that small and that thin that you can actually even baton with? How many of us would even dare to baton with any of our other knives? But you can with the bug out, realistically speaking, right? So it's a good quality product, but it's it's easily a 300% markup, and now, especially with the $180 price point, it's insane. And I just wish companies, especially because they probably sold 1 million of them, let's be honest, with like the sheer popularity of that knife. We're not talking tens of thousands. Like they literally probably like globally sold 1 million bug outs. There's no reason that price should increase.
Right.
Really, right? When we look at like Kaiser or Concept or any of those guys, or right, it's understandable why they may charge a little bit more because they're not doing volume, right? But they can still maintain a certain degree of profitability without necessarily going to like the 300+% markup, Yeah. And at least for me, that's kind of my problem with like WE knives. And a lot of people don't dare criticize WE, but their prices have been steadily climbing. If you've noticed, they're going to like $300 to $400 knives, and I'm like, bro, as good as you guys are, I'd still rather a Chris Reeves, than paying that kind of money for any of your stuff. So,
and that's where I think a lot of these American companies have the room to improve, because it's not so much that we aren't willing to spend stupid money on American-made knives. The market has proven that we will. The question is that once we have at $300, the fit and finish you get on a Taiwan or Chinese-made knife is far better than the fit and finish you get on an American-made knife at $300, or at $500, or at $600. So it's not that we aren't willing to pay the price. It's that we've been willing to pay the price for less fit and finish. And because we're voting with our dollars, and because the market will bear what the market will bear, there's no urgency to increase our manufacturing prowess. We're getting the brakes beaten off of us as a country in manufacturing because we've allowed this to happen for so long. And I think that one thing that we absolutely have to do is okay, Strider, okay, Chris Reeves, charge your $600. Start building and investing in your manufacturing process so you can bring us things like chamfered handle scales. So you can bring us things like more 3D milled titanium pocket clips. So you can give the people what they want so we don't have to go to a WE knife company. We don't have to go to a Tucson. We'll pay for it, but we can't just do the same thing and then cry about it later and expect different results. We've actually got to move forward. And until we start voting with our dollars to do that, I don't think it's going to change.
It's kind of frustrating because like we have amazing capabilities here, you know, but from like a larger scale, like meta perspective, I think this is part of the struggle of the U.S. kind of transitioning from like a post-industrial world to like a digital world. Right? Like think about like when we switched over from agriculture to the industrial world, the people who were doing agriculture were like the numbers shrank dramatically as they migrated into the urban centers to work at factories, right? We're seeing the same sort of thing where people are migrating from the factories and now want to work digital jobs, you know? And it's not just that we have like a shortage, but these people are kind of fewer and far between than we've ever had before. And so they don't feel like they need to compete as much. You know, the market isn't as aggressive as it used to be, you know. But China, as you said, it's kicking our butts, man. And it's unfortunate. I mean, like, I want an all titanium Emerson, you know, in Magna Cut. Like, oh, dude, that's just me in the corner, just like,
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Bettina Turner in the chat.
I'm gonna peace out.
Dude, good having you, man. Let's do this again soon, all right?
Let's do it again. This was really fun. Good to meet you guys.
All right, man. We'll catch you on the flip side. All right. So Bettina Turner in the chat said, I think a major difference is also how they go about marketing. Think about how much Benchmade spends in packaging and marketing opposed to a company like Tucson.
True.
They got a point, because Tucson's packaging is like, you can unbox this if you want, but it's going to be the exact same as every other Tucson you've ever seen. It's a plastic bag with some of the cheapest recycled cardboard I think I've ever seen. Very minimal billboarding, and they put it all in the knife. I'm okay with that. You give me my titanium and my shredded carbon fiber inlay fix with the M390 at sub 150. I don't need a pouch. I like a pouch, but I don't need it.
So here's a good question, because I got this guy in for review. The knife standards are our prototype. What do you think about these Pelican style cases?
So I do like them, but something that I want to see. I want to see more utility. So for example, so here's the thing. It costs nothing to do a vault. Like if you're going to, for example, you're doing that case, right? It costs nothing to create some extra cutouts and turn that into an actual carrying case, because then the value is, look, this won't just carry this knife that you bought from us. This could carry the next 3 or 4 knives that you bought from us. And people like me would eat it up, because when you start collecting knives, all of a sudden real estate on my desk comes at a premium. I don't know about you, man, but like boxes, knives, like my office is a mess. The wife comes in here and chews me out, because she's like, you got to fix this. You know, it's dangerous in here. You got the armory in here. And I cut myself the other day because I just had too much on my desk, knocked something over, caught it in the wrong spot. And that's when I knew, I was like, something's got to change. I got to fix my storage. I got to be more organized. And instead of making another video, I spent that time organizing my office, because like, yeah, this is dangerous. So my point is, though, when you're a collector or an enthusiast, you get to a point where you don't have room. And so an extra value proposition is it costs nothing. If you're going to do a Pelican case like that, it costs nothing to cut out some more foam that's already there. Drop it in like this. Dude. There you go.
So what I've found is I use the Apache cases from Harbor Freight, and then I get these Nalpac inserts, which allow me to carry. Look how many, it just.
Yeah.
I have 2 of these.
Well, wait a. See, and here I thought I was cool being like, hey, check out this, Blade HQ vaults, and you got Fort Knox over there.
But Tri-State, I love what you're saying.
So Tri-State says, as soon as I organize and clean up, it's ruined in a week. This is facts. That's absolutely 100% true. I can't seem to keep it straight because I'm always reaching for something, right? Like I'm making a video, I'm comparing the knife with this. So I want to see instead of a pouch that just has the pockets for just the one knife, right, and the slip, which is what we see on a lot of knives, like for We Knife and benchmade, not benchmade, I'm sorry, bestech. I want to see like an EDC pouch. Like the world's going nuts. The EDC community right now is going nuts over EDC pouches. Yes. Yeah. Just like that. Like, is that a notorious EDC pouch?
It is. I just got it in today.
Nice. I've got the Data Crew water slider, and I love it.
Okay.
But the problem that I have with it is that it doesn't fit knives that are like this. Like you're kind of if it's 4 inches on the handle or bigger, it's not fitting in a water slider very well. That looks like you wouldn't have that issue though, because it looks like you probably get about 4 1/4. Oof.
And then let me see if the Veloce fits. Yeah, dude, the Veloce fits.
Nice. I'm gonna have to look into one of those.
That's a wonderful comment. Actually, I really appreciate that. That like giving somebody not just the knife, but giving them like a usable storage option. Because like, yeah, dude. I mean, I've got boxes and boxes, and I get all of these single or 2 knife pouches, and then they just end up in a drawer somewhere where I'm just keeping them in case I ever resell the knife.
Well, and you think about it, the reason why companies like Garage Built and Data Crew charge what they charge for their pouches is because they don't have the manufacturing capability of a We Knife company. They don't have the manufacturing capability of a Bestech or any number of these companies. Like you think about the mass production, right? If we were to get that, if they were to build it, right, all I'm asking for is a more like an EDC pouch design. Like if you're benchmade, like you could start offering this, like you could add extra value. There's so many places where these companies could add extra value, but they're too laser focused on what if I cut corners on the pocket clip? We could make an extra couple bucks.
It's the unfortunate part of big business, and so like I started in the automotive industry, and that's one of the things that drove me nuts, because it was like, okay, it was perpetual nickel and diming, right? Like if I can save 30 cents on this part, but I'm ordering 16 million of these, then I can get this much more profit per unit. Or like per production run. And when you're at that level, like I understand it, like you've got investors, shareholders, whatever, right? But I think that, at least for me, that's kind of the beauty of like our current era of like boutique designers, like Arcane, like Sharp by Design, and those guys who are trying to bring really nice products to the market, because they offer a bit of that value adding that we want as like knife enthusiasts, that the big manufacturers, big factories just aren't willing to.
Hey, the competition's out there. It's not a matter of if, but who wants it. Who wants it? Who wants to do this? Who wants to take those risks to like on the profit margin? And all it takes is for one legitimate US company to be like, you know what? I'm going to invest in the manufacturing technology to be competitive here at home. And I got to shout out Kershaw. The Livewire, I haven't handled one, but everyone that I know that has is screaming that this is the best American-made OTF at that price point, potentially ever. And
that's what I've heard too.
They're doing it at like $230. I went to buy one because I was like, well, damn, I need it on the channel. Can't buy it. Like, you can pre-order it for the next drop, but they're not available. They sold out immediately. And on top of that, they've come out with quite a few designs this year because they were so close. As of last year, I felt like they were on the edge of irrelevancy, where the only people that bought them were the people at Ace Hardware that were going camping over the weekend, and maybe they needed a knife and forgot one. But the knife community was slowly just being like, no, we've seen this all before. Good night. And 2023 hits, and they come out with the Livewire, and they come out with all these other designs that are like slowly but surely just they're keep an eye on Kershaw is all I'm saying, because it wasn't very long ago that we were forgetting about them, and now everyone wants to talk about Kershaw, which I think is great that we have a U.S. company that's willing to make it happen. I'd be willing to bet you that Kershaw isn't making much, if any, money on the Livewire at all right now. What do you want to bet?
I would say at most, like, they're making maybe 50 to at most 100%, and that for a big factory like that is not much.
For a U.S. operation, no less. But I think that they did it because they saw the customer base was screaming for this. And they said, here's our opportunity, because as long as people are shuffling us off of our moral coil, we won't have a chance anyways. Even if our profit margins are 300, 400%, if people aren't buying it, it doesn't matter what they are. And why did they do that?
Exactly.
Why did they do that? Because people vote with their dollars.
Yeah. I mean, look at Spyderco. Spyderco even said this year that they're not going to up prices. I mean, I don't know how long that'll last, but bro, like, the fact that you can get a crew-wear Yojimbo for less than the S30V version, like, that's amazing.
It's bananas. I mean, and if I hadn't bought the crew-wear paramilitary too, I would have gotten in on that. I have this thing where I have a hard time buying duplicates, because when I spend my money on, like, I know that I'm going to talk about it on the channel, and I'm not at a place where I want to buy a duplicate because I've already done the content. What's the update? But that's why if I were to sell this guy, I'd be okay getting a crew-wear Yojimbo, because then all of a sudden, like, I don't have a duplicate.
Dude, speaking of duplicates, this will mess with you.
And by the way, Sharif, I don't know if you have the stream pulled up on your phone. I know you can't see the window I've got up right now.
I do actually. I have it in another window here, but there you go.
Oh man.
4 of the exact same knife.
But if it makes you happy, that's what's important.
Each one is different finishes and whatever, but it's my favorite designer, so that's why.
So remember when we were talking about the Mini Infidel? I said I saw it for $450. D2 blade steel. Guess what this knife used to sell for? This specific one used to sell for like $240, maybe $200.
Dude, that's stupid.
$450. And I'm not even like, I hope Benchmade watches my live streams, and because I don't even care if this burns the bridge with them. At that price point, you can get bent. I'm not spending $450. Like, I cannot justify that, and I won't justify it. And I will buy one of these on the secondhand market. I'm gonna hit up my buddy actually and be like, hey, can I buy this one from you? Do you want to trade? Because I won't buy a brand new one at that price. I just won't. Now they do have, in all fairness, and here's what I want to know. So check this out. this is $450. Benchmade Mini Infidel. It's black. Or you can get one for $350. Are you telling me that some PVD coating is $100? Like, what's the difference? What am I missing here? And this is why I wanted to grab your attention, because I can't see the difference other than the coating on the blade. This is $350. You know, it's closer to sanity, but not quite there. And this one is $450. What's the difference?
That I don't understand.
It doesn't make any sense. It makes 0 sense. I'm going to catch up with the chat a little bit. Sprinkle Donut says, same micro Jimbo will be my last knife this year. Micro Jimbo, that's a cool topic. I don't know if it needs to get smaller though. Like the Yojimbo is the bigger one. The Yojimbo is this one. I don't know if I would carry a micro Jimbo. I think that this fits too well in my hand. As a guy with bigger hands, what do you think, Sharif?
I'm with you. I wouldn't go smaller. You know, like this thing just nestles perfectly in my hand. All of the kind of curvature points just hit right. Anything smaller than this is, I want something like a McBee.
Yeah, I want to. Look, if we're going micro, give me something that's like a McBee or like this. Like, yeah. If I worked in a warehouse with boxes all day long, this would be my carry. This would be the perfect carry. Period. Yeah. I want one of these in titanium with 20 CV, or shoot, I'd take S35 VN. Why not? But I want a milled pocket clip.
Yeah, dude, even my Cardo with a milled pocket clip and stick with the 14C, I'd be happy.
The 14C is so underrated. Dude. I think a lot of people look at 154 CM as like the best mid-range steel, but I actually think 14C has it beat in a couple different ways.
You're 100% right, it does.
What is let's say that we're in a vacuum, everything costs the same. What's your favorite steel?
Ooh. On paper, it's MagnaCut. Just because I like... Okay, so I had a giant mouse a long time ago in M390 that I accidentally dropped on some rocks, and it shipped out blade steel. And ever since then, I have been big on blade steels that are tough. So having said that, I really like on paper MagnaCut. I haven't gotten to use it that much, but Crewwear is also really dope. Vanex, also on paper, is pretty awesome stuff. So I tend to go for like the tougher end of the spectrum, which 14C for me is, dude, 14C is a beast of a steel, you know? So, and then on the sort of lower end of the spectrum, I also super dig LC200N, but that's also because I'm by the ocean. Or not, I'm not by the ocean right now, but in California, how far are you from the ocean ever?
I've heard stories that California is eventually going to separate and become an island in the sea. So you never know. Like,
I mean, hopefully they'll give me like, you know, oceanfront property.
Look at those property values; they just skyrocketed. Living the island life. For me, and this might shock some people, because it's often forgotten, but not by me. I'd have to go with LMAX. I love LMAX. Oh, yeah. LMAX is my jam. It's one of the first steels where they were like, this is a super steel. It's a tiny bit easier to sharpen than M390. Very tough. It's got some decent stain resistance. You know, it takes, you know what I like about it is it takes a mirror polished edge really well. Like really well. It's so underrated. And everyone looks at it and says, well, you know, M390/20CV/CTS204P, whatever. Yeah. Because it has that little bit of edge retention better, just in its base properties, LMAX gets forgotten. But I would pick LMAX over M390.
No, that's a good point. That's a very good point. I'll be honest, what steel I would like to see a lot more of? But if I could track down a Manix 2 in this, I would spend the money right away. Maximet. I want to experience Maximet. Because if I'm going to give up toughness and go straight up like edge retention, you got to go nuts. You got to go.
So, you probably know this, but the more you get into knives, the more you get other people into knives. So one of my friends at work, I gifted him a knife, and it started him down his own path. And, I basically shoved him down the rabbit hole, said, here you go, bud.
Yeah.
And he has not one, but 2 Manix 2s in Maximet. And I'm going to let you in on something though. So I work in office 2 days a week for my regular day job. Otherwise, I work from home. And in the office, we have carpet flooring. So we're over there, at our cubicles, and we're fidgeting with our knives because we're insane idiots that don't know any better. And he drops his Manix 2 point first into the carpet. It's carpet. Snap the tip right off.
Yep.
So after that happened, because Spyderco, in my opinion, for almost any company, I think that they have some of the best factory fit and finish, period. But I looked into it. I went in Reddit, which I don't suggest doing. Never go to Reddit. And I started just searching for stories of people or reports of Spyderco's Maximet, and the edge retention is insanity. You should never really have to sharpen Maximet, for your everyday use, maybe once in a blue moon. But the problem is that what you gain in edge retention, you lose in toughness. It's so brittle. People have reports of their Maximet Para 3s and paramilitary 2s cracking, falling from a ladder onto gravel. So I would say this: if you get Maximet, just be careful, because if you drop it, it might not survive.
Maximet sounds like it would be really, really good on some of these really smaller, just everyday, box opening kind of knives. Why not?
Oh, absolutely. Use case scenario, you go through a lot of cardboard, get Maximet. It's just another good one. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, what were you gonna say?
I was going to say another good one that I really like but has its flaws is M4. Excellent edge retention, but you look at it sideways, it will rust on you. I'm lucky living here in Colorado, because even though we do get a fair amount of snow, we don't it's very dry here. I'm originally from the Pacific Northwest. When I moved here to Colorado, I dry it out immediately. The best part is that for a knife enthusiast, I don't have to worry about rust, because it's so dry. There's no humidity. But holy crap.
Dude, that is why I did get the Yojimbo in crew wear, because with its hollow grind, the tip is so thin, I wanted a tougher steel.
I think there's only so much you can expect out of a coating, though. My favorite coating is Diamond Like Carbon, the DLC. DLC coating is really good. And what makes me laugh is that you see pictures of people being like, look at how much I use my Spyderco with the DLC, and look how scratched up it is. And I can't help but think, it's not scratched. It took material off of whatever you rubbed it up against and scratched that. Most of the time, if people were willing to just do a little bit of rubbing out on that blade, they'd find out that those are not really scratches, because getting through DLC coating is really difficult.
It's funny you mentioned that, because when I first got my very first Para 3, I had it in the pocket with a bunch of brass stuff, and I pulled out the knife and I was like, oh shit, like I barely had this thing a week and it had just like brass nail trails like all over it. And I was like, crap, did I already like screw up the knife? So like I just took a rag and, you know, just started like cleaning it. And I realized it was like, dude, this finish is so hard that it was just stripping the brass off of whatever it touched, you know? And I was like, okay.
Diamond-like means diamond-like. It's hard as hell. And so when people are like, oh, look, you just scratched your DLC. I'm like, no, I didn't. I just took material off of whatever. So I would love to see more handle skills, more titanium handle skills coated in DLC. The CKF Evo 3, they released one that in full DLC, the blade and the handle skills, and then they did that beautiful directional rub finish on the titanium to boot. Like, no wonder they can get whatever they want for those knives.
Oh yeah, that's like what, a $650, $700 knife without breaking a sweat.
The full DLC coated one that I saw with the Evo 3 was like a $1,200 knife. Oh, and maybe dang. I just saw one that was trumped up on the secondhand market, but I actually know somebody that was selling one. Ooh. So, you know, if you got that Kubi cheddar and you want a full DLC CKF Evo, let me know. I got the hookup. But listen, guys, go ahead.
I was going to say, I'll tell you what I'm saving up for right now. CKF and Bob Trezzola had done a collab, and I'm not going to say that I have insider information of when it's going to be coming out, but I do. And that is because I've always wanted a full-size true like Bob Trezzola, and I've just, whenever he's done lottos, I've just never gotten picked. So I'm going to save up my money for a CKF Bob Trezzola. I'll DM you video.
I'm gonna need pictures, man. I'm gonna need some pictures. Video's even better.
I have video.
But so Sharif, here's a fun fact for you. I have never done a live stream over an hour and a half until today. Okay. And the main reason is that I usually get to a point where it's hard for me to keep talking because I feel like I've gone over everything. But one of the best parts about having you on this evening is that never happened. We never reached the point where it wasn't something to talk about. With that being said, we are reaching the 2-hour mark. And so,
wow.
Thank you. And we got to do this again, man. This is probably going to end the live stream. We've got a lot more to talk about, guys. And for everyone that joined us in the chat and put up with me not being able to follow it all because you were all so awesome and giving me something to check out on the side, thank you. I think this has proven that we've got a real forum for discussion here, and I can't wait to have the next one.
Heck yeah, man. Anytime. This was great.
Fantastic. Well, everyone, thank you again. Sharif, especially thank you for giving us all that cool insider information. And guys, that's all from me. Sharif, did you have anything before we sign out, man?
No, just massive appreciation for having me on.
Anytime. We got, real quick before we go, Piper Kennard with another $2 dono says, I want a Manix 2 in crew wear, not the XL version. I agree with that. Yeah, the regular Manix 2 is the design that I would pick. Nothing against the XL. I just like the way the Manix 2 looks.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, guys, thank you again for everyone that joined us tonight. Thank you again to Duty's Daggers, to Mangana Steel. We're going to do this again soon. We'll do this. We'll go live again. I don't know if we can get Sharif on. He's a hard man to get a hold of sometimes, but we might do this again. So everyone, thanks again for joining us, and